And it's a very good morning to the Gelding as we look at Moonee Valley racing again and Fee and Stakes Day. 9 races on the card and the track gone from a good 3 to, a soft 7. Your thoughts, Gelding?
Good morning, Professor. Good morning, listeners. Yes, Professor, is it going to be a case of Moonee Valley today?
Very good.
Yes, I look up. All I can say is that if the races were in Caulfield today, we're likely to get a little bit more rain here. So I would imagine the valley might be in for a bit of rain, Professor. So, let's keep that in mind. You like horses that normally have performed well at the valley and horses that have performed in the wet, rail in the true position. So this is normally one that suits front runners, Professor. So let's see how we go.
Yeah, Gelding,
even though one of my tips hasn't run at the valley before and hasn't run in the wet. So Let's see how we go.
All right, Gelding. But before we start, we've got a new viewer today.
A new viewer.
Somebody who's jumped on the bandwagon. Jack from Richmond.
Jack from Richmond.
Yeah.
Fill me in.
Oh no, just
not number 8.
Just an acquaintance.
Not number 8.
No, not Rewald.
Well, welcome to Jack from Richmond.
He's looking for us to put our best foot forward today, Gelding.
Well, hopefully we can tip him into a couple of good tips for today, Professor, on what should be a bit of a difficult day, I suppose, just with the track in the true position, which normally does favour the on-pace or leaders during the day. But this rain could be could decide. So what I normally say, of course, to all of our listeners is look at the first couple of races just to see if any strong pattern emerges during the day. But I would imagine if you're there on the turn, you've got to be a good chance. So I'd hate to be scouting right on the turn and trying to come home, Professor.
Well, a bit of a hint about Jack's background, Gelding. He would understand the meaning of caveat emptor.
Right. Okay. Buyer beware.
That's exactly right.
Buyer beware.
Well, Gelding, what are your top 2 tips for today?
Very good, Professor. Well, for the punters to be aware, going in some of the main races, Professor, probably what I think the bet of the day is in race 5, horse number 3, Portland Sky. This horse is resuming in a Group 2 race. Its last 2 starts before a spell, Professor. It won the Group 1 Oakley Plate and was just beaten in the William Reid at Moonee Valley over 1,200.
And who was it beaten by, Gelding?
Just beaten by our bet of the week last week, Mars Crusader, Professor. So if people followed up with Mars Crusader, I'd certainly be following up with Portland Sky today. Look, it's a very good race. Worried about September run, of course, which is also one of our horses, Professor. But look, the form of Portland Sky, 8 starts for 4 wins. On the slow, it's had 1 start for 1 win. On the track, it's had 2 starts for a win and a second in a Group 1. So that ticks all our boxes, Professor.
Very well.
50% win rate, high place rate, 1 at the track. It's won it, performed in Group 1 races. I don't think you go wrong by taking Portland Sky in race 5, Professor.
A very well credentialed horse, Gelding.
Yes. I looked at all the races, Professor, and I like a lot of them today. But look, I've had to have a bet in the main race, right? The Fee and Stakes, which gets you automatic entry into the Cox Plate. Now, I know the Giraffe will be happy with this because I'm going race 8, number 11, Elephant. So the Giraffe's right on Elephant, as we said. when it won at Caulfield. Change of jockey. Damien Lane's gone on to number 3, the chosen one for Murray Baker, but I think that's more long-term possible Melbourne Cup thing. Elephant, the training partnerships of the Browns from New Zealand have come over with 3 horses to aim at the Melbourne Spring, very much in the plans that Murray Baker used to do. So look at one quite convincingly first up. Led to 5 starts for 5 wins. Second up, it's had 1 start for 1 win, Professor. So it's 100% win rate, 100% place rate. Going up in class, probably its biggest test. Worried about it. It hasn't run in a slow or heavy conditions as yet, Professor, but to keep it in this field, I suppose, suggests that it may go through this type of ground. So around about the $4.80, $5, Professor. I think Elephant will be a good each way bet in the main race. Worried about Superstorm in that, and probably the Blue Army's horse Best of Days in this, Professor. But so the second tip for myself would be race 8, number 11, Elephant. Now, Professor, you like?
Yes, Gelding, I'm going to go early. Race 1, over 1,500 metres. In that race, I like number 3, Sandy Prince, starting from barrier 3. Can't be faulted on its form. Had 5 starts for 2 wins and 3 placings. So win percentage of 40%, place 100%. So it's ticked a couple of boxes already. It's won its last 2. What I liked was an impressive win at Sandown on the hillside track in its last start over a horse that's running in this race, Gelding Sea Lion. It's in a stronger class, but I did some film viewing of it yesterday, and it finishes very, very strongly. The other thing I liked was in its maiden win, it won on a heavy 10 track, so the going's not going to be a worry to it. One of the things that was a little bit of a black mark was Craig Williams aboard, and I have been critical in the past of his riding, including last week. I think I sent you a text which had some fruity language in it, Gelding.
It was very colourful, Professor. I had to cover my eyes with some of the words that were coming out on the text.
Well, I've been looking for some positives about why I'd picked a horse ridden by Craig, and what I can say in his last 50, his win rate's 40%, which is better than his career rate of 13%. So I suppose I'm going to have to take that.
Well, I suppose he is sitting second in the jockey challenge, the leading jockeys, Professor, but second and third are Craig Williams and Damien Oliver. So they get the pick of the rides, and I think with the pick of the rides, we both feel they should be riding more winners, but let's not go there. Let's be positive today. Yeah,
be positive. And Ben Hayes is in good form too. Usually can get 33% of his horses in for a place. So if you're getting a horse in the placings a third of the time, that's a pretty good effort. So race 1, horse 3, Sandy Prince, and my second selection gone to race 6, horse 6. Now, some value here for each way punters, Gelding.
Yeah, I like it, Professor. Go sitting at the nice odds of
horse 6, Mac and Cheese, $8.50 and $2.60 at the moment.
That Mac and Cheese I've got as number 4, Professor.
Let me just check that, Gelding.
Living on it.
Race 6, horse number 4.
Oh, lucky I hadn't put the bets on, Professor.
Yeah, horse 4, Mac and Cheese. Had 3 starts. Professor. Had 3 starts for a win and 2 placings, but its last race was a win in a listed race at Morfettville on a heavy track.
And won well, Professor.
Yeah, it did win well. Luke Curry aboard, who's in career form and trained by the McAvoys, who are in better than career form. Gelding, their win rating is 16%, but over their last 50, it's been 26%.
That's pretty. They've moved their base. Of course, they have their big base in South Australia, but excuse me, Professor. They've also opened a satellite stable in Ballarat, and since that's been happening, they've just hit the ground running out of that Ballarat stable. So, they get the good base over at the old Lindsay Park in South Australia, and they come to Ballarat. Ballarat's fast becoming a bit of a mecca for the trainers, Professor.
As Cranbourne will be too, Gelding.
Yes. Cranbourne will soon be getting a lot of Caulfield trainers.
Yes.
Still chasing that matter up that we're looking at, Professor. So I hope to have an answer for you during the week on that.
No worries. I thought I'd throw that one in.
Oh, well, yes, it's good.
How long before the trainers have to depart Caulfield, Gelding?
I think they've got a couple of years to go, Professor. I think it was 23. Just for the listeners, Caulfield has been a track that has produced trainers I know we moved to East Bentley when Dad was based at Caulfield as a jockey, Professor. So, that's 65 years ago. So there's been a training track there for forever and a day. I remember, I think Farlap was even shot at round about the Caulfield racetrack. So I'm not too sure there, Professor, but look, it's been a training ground forever. If everyone knows, just in Borong Road, just past the school there, and that there's been trainers there for ever and a day. But Caulfield or Glenora, in their wisdom, the Melbourne Racing Club, or as we call them, the very amateur turf club, as their old name, have decided that trainers can't train there, Professor. So they're all moving to all various spots. So with the closing of Epsom and now Caulfield, in the city, the only on-course training will be done at Flemington. So I don't know why they didn't move them out to Sandown if they want the land, because all they'll do is put up flats there, Professor. 3-story flats. It'll just be more density around the thing.
Yeah,
so
might be taller than 3 stories given what's been built there at the moment, Gelding.
Yeah, the Caulfield slums. Look, Professor, we won't get started on that, but look, Caulfield has always, it's been a fibre of roundabout there. There used to be around this area where I am, backyards used to have stables in them and people would train out of them and all that. But
not anymore, Gelding.
Far wiser people than us have decided not to, to end decades of successful training out of Caulfield and move on. So hopefully the trainer we have a new horse with, Professor, may be moving from Caulfield to Cranbourne shortly.
All right, Gelding. Well, we better move on as well. We might get to the very successful...
Sorry about that rant, Professor.
That's all right, Gelding. We might get to the very successful Professor's Parlay. How about that? Given that...
saluted again last week.
We did it again last week, Gelding. Masked Crusader,
well done,
Manchester.
Professor.
Yeah, Masked Crusader, Manchester City and Spurs. Really looked after us. The mouth-watering odds of 3-1, Gelding. So for our $5 investment, we got $15 back. That's better than bank interest.
Professor, as I sent you details of the account during the week, it certainly brings a smile to the face every time you look at it, doesn't it? And you know what? Those little things like that, small, as I keep saying, small fish are sweet. But you know what? They soon add up, don't they?
It certainly does add up, Gelding. And mind you, the balance in that bank account we have, we've made some fairly sizable withdrawals over time to pay for things we wanted to pay for. So, it's not just that's the total amount we've got. It'd be interesting to total actually how much has been in that account from time to time.
Yes, it certainly helped our social life. And I know the Jim Steins Grill has certainly got some value out of it, or we've got some value out of it at the Jim Steins Grill. So,
remember when, Gelding? When?
hopefully, Professor, we'll be there to see Melbourne win 3 in a row, hey? At the MCG.
Oh, that'd be nice. All right, Gelding. The agreed bet of the day between you and I, race 5, horse 3, Portland Sky. A bit of a link to Mars Crusader last week. Mars Crusader did well by us last week, so hopefully Portland Sky can do the same today. Now, there's no Premier League. I was going to go for Premier League, but there are World Cup qualifiers going on, so the Premier League is in recess for the next 7 days. And it's a beware, caveat emptor in the NRL, Gelding, because there's a number of clubs who are in the finals who are resting players. So that's why the odds look a little bit skewed when you see that the Rabbitohs are almost equal favourites with the team they're playing. It means that they're resting players. So I've steered clear of that.
Yeah. Are you picking winners or losers, Professor, in this parlay?
No, we're picking
when you
winners.
Study the form.
Picking winners.
Picking winners. Okay, well, I'll let you explain what you picked.
All right. So we're going into Brisbane to beat the Western Bulldogs.
Oh, big game.
Yes, my thinking about that, Gelding, is that Brisbane are playing at home. Jack from Richmond's got a little bit of an interest in Brisbane as well. So there's another tie-up for today's show, Gelding.
Jack, an old Fitzroy supporter, is he?
No, Brisbane. He might be a Brisbane supporter.
A Brisbane supporter. So he's come on board in the last so many years, has he?
Oh, he might be a transplant, Gelding.
Oh, okay. Okay. Brisbane to Richmond.
And we'll parlay that into the West Tigers, because they've got to win the last game of the season for their documentary that's on Fox at the moment.
Yes.
To beat the Canterbury Bulldogs, who've done well by us, Gelding. They've never won when we've picked them the whole season. So hopefully they can do it one more time for us.
That's what I mean. Are we picking West Tigers because we don't think the Bulldogs can win, Professor?
Correct, Gelding.
I like the form. I like the form analysis.
All right, Gelding. And that parlay today is showing 13-2. So fairly
beautiful. Good. Juicy odds, Professor.
Certainly is, Gelding. All right, Gelding. Before we go, must mention yet another episode of Sports Fan Radio tomorrow at midday on our YouTube channel. We've got all the usual suspects, and Dan Butley will be coming in from Los Angeles to give us his views on the NFL season that's starting next week.
Looking forward to the start of the NFL, Professor. Another year of hope. Your Green Bay Packers will probably be right up there again. My Oakland Raiders will be way down the bottom again. So let's see. Oh, sorry, not my Oakland Raiders, my Las Vegas Raiders now.
They still selling hope, Gelding?
Hey?
They still selling hope?
Oh, for ages, Professor. Might be 30 years of hope, I think. But anyway, I look forward to Dan and his very precise views on sport over there. That'll be good. Professor, if I could just mention one of our favourite horses is running around again today at Randwick with the return of Nature Strip. So be wary about it first up, but certainly resuming, and we'll go well. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's show. Normal combatants, is it? David from Mordialloc and the giraffe from Yarraville.
Yes, from the west of the Yarra. Yes.
I hope to get a word in then next week, Professor.
Oh well, you better start early. Start now, Gelding.
Start now. Okay.
I'll tell you what. When you're on the text messages with him, they come thick and fast, don't they?
Already got 3 this morning, Professor. So,
I hope you've sent him the
so I know the giraffe is listening, and we do love him. He's a beautiful character, the giraffe, and I hope he has a bit of fun backing the elephant today.
Yeah. All right, Gelding. Well, until next Saturday, and that's race.